All right, I call to order this meeting of the Sturgis City Council, Monday, May 19th, 2025, 6:30 p.m. Please stand and recite with me the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have a pastor tonight? Is it Brian? Brian, would you join us for our prayer tonight? Pastor Brian Ross.
Okay, well, thank you, and let's pray. Father, just thinking about how decisions made here affect everyone in Sturgis, and so, Lord, I just thank you for these folks and for the hard work that they do, and I know that they take it seriously. And so, Father, I just pray you bless them tonight and lead them in the decisions, and I thank you for the unity, Lord, that they're showing, and I just praise you for these folks. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Brian. Item 3 on our agenda is approval of the agenda. Is there anyone willing to make a motion to approve the agenda or a substitute motion?
I'd like to add 6.2, a legal update to the agenda.
Under department updates, 6.2, legal update from Eric Davis. Is there anything else that you want to add to that?
No, just 6.2 and everything else looks good.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'd second that.
All right, we've got a first by Alex with the addition of an item 6.2, legal update under department updates. That was by Alex, second by Nick. And I'm looking to call for the vote. Those in favor of the agenda indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. All right, we've got the agenda for tonight. Item 7 is all mayor's report. We've got some seasonal employees that we're bringing on. Oh, I skipped announcements and praise. Let's back up to item 4.
You've been busy all day.
Excuse me. Item 5. And we got to go all the way to 6. So look at that. I jumped clear to the second page. So forgive me, everyone. Non-agenda matters. Is there anything that a counselor or a member of the public wants to bring before the body that is not on the agenda currently? Bernie?
Just reminding everybody about the school board election that is coming up. I think that's on your list, maybe?
Right. And actually, Jim has some announcements, and so in the scope of things where I've screwed up the item, we're going to go up to announcements and praise, and we'll cover that right now for you, Bernie. Thank you. Jim, would you read the announcements and praise for us tonight?
Since Bernie brought it up, I'll start with that. First of all, although it's a long list, the school board forum is tomorrow night, 6 o'clock until 8. It'll be held at the Erskine Building. I would encourage everyone to be there. I think there are 6 candidates been invited, if I think that's correct. And that's at 6 o'clock Tuesday evening. This is also EMS week. recognizing and celebrating the dedication of our EMRs, EMTs, and paramedics. These pros are the backbone of emergency care, showing up day and night to provide life-saving support when it's needed the most. All week is Public Works Week. If you get a chance to be part of the special pickup that was held across the city of Sturgis, 137 loads of rubble were taken to the rubble site. There were 15 loads of branches, 44 loads of metal, and Alex, what did you tell me? The equivalent would have been $35,000 tipping fee. So, Rick, and to your crew, thank you. That was, and this is the all week is designed to be. It's a national week, as a matter of fact. Last day of school for the Meads County School District. Tomorrow, I think at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, there will be lots of kids roaming around, so please be careful and alert to that. Also, the Sturgis United Methodist Church and the Sturgis First Presbyterian Church both are offering free sack lunches for elementary and middle school students Mondays and Wednesdays from 11:30 to 12:30 through the end of July. Among the locations where you can pick up a lunch is the Sturgis Public Library. Check out the city's Facebook page and website for more information. The first lunches will go out on Wednesday, May 28th. Wednesday, May 21st is a Color Our World Summer Reading Kickoff Party. That's at 2 o'clock at the Sturgis Public Library. Friday, the 23rd, is Poppy Day. The mayor's proclamation states, "I ask that all citizens pay tribute to those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in the name of freedom by wearing the memorial poppy on this day," Friday, May 23rd. Also Friday, May 23rd, the first day to place memorial decorations at Bear Butte Cemetery. Decorations should be removed within 10 days following Memorial Day. And then a week from today, Monday, May 26th, is Memorial Day. City offices will be closed.
Thank you, Jim. And now we will continue to item 5, non-agenda items. And so I think, Bernie, you got your item off. Does anyone else in the gallery or on council have an item that's not on the agenda they'd like to discuss? All right, hearing none, we'll continue on to department updates. 6.1 is our April sales tax report. Aaron, you gave us a kind of a poor report the last time on sales tax, so.
Well, hopefully we can do better this time. If you look at that first page, it's looking at the general fund sales tax, looking at January through April. And if you look at the whole 4-month period, this is the best 4-month period that we've ever had. And I show there's over the last 3 years. In fact, January, February, and April are the best months over that same time frame. And you can see, as we talked about last meeting, March, we took a dip in March, but it recovered pretty well in April, April being one of the bigger months of the year so far. So overall, I mean, we are trending well. Again, we measured ourselves against 2023. At this point, we had 599,000, and right now we're at 626,000. So we're about 27,000 above what we kind of projected revenue against the 2023. If you go on to the next slide, looking at our gross receipt tax, our BBB sales tax, down, right now everything in green is above average of the last 3 years. And so 3 of the 4 months has been above average, and January was the best month out of those 3 years. But if you look at the total, right now we're kind of lagging behind. We're just around 91,000 in 2025, and against 23, that was at 95,500. So on a tourism tax, this is your eating establishments, your lodging, alcohol beverages. Those are down for the first 4 months of the year compared to the last couple of years. Pending your questions.
Well, certainly good news for our general sales tax. I imagine that the Triple B will be coming up as the tourist season turns on, and maybe if it quits snowing in May. Anybody have any other questions on sales tax report? Item 6.2, the item that we added is an update from our legal department. Mr. Eric Davis, please.
Small department, but good evening, Mayor, Council. I wanted to bring you just a quick update on discussions with AFT concerning the Sturgis TT race downtown. At our last meeting, I told you that it was our understanding, following some in-person conversations, meetings with representatives from AFT in City Hall almost a month ago, that AFT may submit a proposal to change the venue of this year's race. We did have some follow-up communications with AFT representatives last week to clarify kind of exactly what we would need to see in order to get that in front of the council for its consideration. And that if we were going to have that in time for tonight's meeting, what the deadline for that would have been. We did not receive a new proposal, so there is nothing new for you to consider at this time. We're still continuing to engage with AFT, and we may have something for you at the next meeting. But I know it's not much of an update, but I told you I would be keeping you apprised of these matters as they've gone through. So we did have some other discussions and expecting more and more information to be coming in the future. So I'm happy to answer any questions that I can, but that's the extent of the update I have for you at this time.
All right, thank you, Eric. I'm going to continue on to the mayor's report. What we have tonight on this report is a number of seasonal employees. I think this probably coincides with the last day of school for many that are tomorrow, so they'll be starting and helping with our city crews, seasonal in parks primarily. We've got a wastewater, liquor sales driver, seasonal, and a part-time lifeguard for the community center on that list. Any questions on the? Item 8 is the consent calendar. We consider the consent calendar in its entirety unless someone wishes to remove one item or several items from the consent calendar to be considered separately. Myself, after speaking with Administrator Jordan, I would like to remove 8.8 to have that considered separately, which is the SEL for the the street closure and open container for the Trans Am takeover show and shine. Does anyone have anything else they want to remove and have it be considered separately? Is there anyone willing to make a motion for items 8.1 through 8.7 of the consent calendar?
I would make that motion.
I'll second it.
We've got a first by Jim, a second by Mark to approve 8.1 through 8.7 of the consent calendar. Those in favor of the motion indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. Carried unanimously. 8.8, Mr. Jordan, would you kind of fill us in on the Trans Am takeover, a new event in our community this year?
Well, what I'd ask is Robin to come up and Margaret. Robin's been working with Margaret. She works with Gas Monkey, and we've been working with Margaret as to put this, all the information for this event that's coming up here in July. So with that, Robin, I'll turn it over to you.
I've actually been working with Sean. He's with
Eastbound and Down.
Okay. Yeah, they're kind of putting on the event. Margaret's more on the SEL side, but she's been doing some of the planning. This is a brand new event scheduled for July 11th through the 13th. Their plan is to close down, they'd like to close down, I believe, from the alleyway right over here by First Interstate all the way to Lozelle Street. They would like to do maybe a movie Friday night, have the cars. I don't know what the registration's up to for sure. I don't know if they have all those numbers, but they're predicting around 300 cars is what they're hoping. So they want to close just Harley-Davidson Way for Friday night to maybe do a potential movie, and food vendors, I think, is
Have some food vendors and then probably some just small local musicians as well.
Yeah. They are going to be doing maybe a tribute to Smokey and the Bandit, so we did ask for a little bit extra room because they're bringing the semi, and I believe 3 cars is what they told us. So they would be just sitting on the street for people to take photo ops, those kind of things. So Saturday, there would be a show and shine, so they would like to still keep Harley-Davidson Way closed, because they want to have bands all day, it sounds like. But then we would also like them to be able to close from Harley-Davidson Way down to Junction Avenue for the show and shine. So we would be asking to close off the street of Main Street, just down to Junction Avenue. They will also be doing open container, we're hoping. Anything you want to add?
No, I mean, I guess the SEL, that'll be later on. But
Yep. Any questions? I think we
Well, just to
covered
keep,
most
they
things.
come in on Friday, they're gonna be registering down at Gas Monkey, about 300 vehicles, not all Trans Ams, but probably a lot of Trans Ams. And it sounds like they're gonna be doing a drive up through Mount Rushmore and then come back in Friday afternoon, evening, and that's when they'll be down at Harley Point watching the Smokey and the Bandit movie and having a good time there. And then again, the activities that you just described on Saturday. So again, this is the first time that you've done this event. It sounds like, I know maybe not Gas Monkey, but they've done this event in the past. But this is where they wanted to change things up and come through Sturgis. So looks like a pretty cool. A lot of the staff has been involved in this. Rick has looked at this. So from a staff perspective, we would recommend to support.
Outstanding. Well, I just have one question. Is there going to be a Jackie Gleason impersonator somewhere involved? Am I showing my age, I guess?
that'd be more at Eastbound and Down. They're the ones bringing all the characters.
I'll make
Right.
it out next time I talk to Sean.
All right, is there any questions from council about this event? Again, new to Sturgis and promoted by one of our local businesses. Win-win for us. Thank you. No questions? Is someone willing to make a motion?
A motion to approve 8.8.
All right, we got a first by Tony, a second by Terry to approve 8.8, the street closure and open container for the Trans Am takeover July 11th and 12th. Any further discussion? Those in favor of the motion indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. And we carried unanimously there. Thank you. Look forward to this event.
And there is a connected action this. We do have in the reports the SEL aspects for this too, so.
Was there going to be any hot pursuits going on that day?
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
Nice and safe.
You're right. All right, item 9 on the agenda tonight is approval of claims. Does anyone on council or from the gallery have any questions on the claims?
I had a question about under water system operations, M&B services, professional fees, mowing near well houses, drainage ditches, and water tanks for 2186.
So historically, we have always hired M&B. It's a part of the water division budget, and they mow all of our city properties, the well houses, any of our drainage ditches, anything that needs specialized equipment to do. We've hired them always and paid for it out of water because that's where our stormwater budget lies within the water division. So that's where it gets paid out of, and that's what maintains when we have these new subdivisions and we end up with these drainage ponds or detention ponds. We end up having to cut those. We don't necessarily keep them manicured like necessarily a yard, but we want to keep them cut down to a reasonable, I think we try and get 8 inches or less so that we're in compliance with the ordinance.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any additional questions on the claims?
No questions, but I did receive a few questions that I'd like to discuss right now. On the very first page, underneath the attorney, there are some insurance costs from New Synergy. And, you know, some of our employees have health savings accounts. And we're looking into this is that because, you know, the city attorney, and we've also had some from planning and permitting that are no longer employed from the city of Sturgis, that we're still getting some fees like $4, $6. So we're going to get to find out more about why that exists. Maybe that's a plan, you know, if that's something that carries over, but we'll get more information on that. The challenge with the attorney is that we never budgeted anything against the attorney. So we'll have to figure out where that would have to come from since there's no money in that particular account. The next one is towards the end, on page 15. It's underneath special sales tax, and it's Blue Peak for $577.27. That is for Rally Point. We do have that budgeted for the year, but it did bring up, you know, that's quite an expensive monthly expense. And the invoice shows for 3 modems. I know I'm aware of 1 modem down there, so we're working back through to just make sure we have a clear picture of what that invoice is and where those other 2 modems, or if they're down there or not. But more to follow on that one, but that one is, if you look at the budget for 2025, we did budget a little over $5,000 in that particular account to pay for Blue Peak for down at the Rally Point. We just need to figure out, make sure if that's, you know, do we need to spend that much?
Okay, thank you, Aaron. Is there anything else? Good to go? Anybody willing to motion the claims?
Motion for approval.
Is that a second there, Mark?
I'll second, sure.
Okay. First by Alex, a second by Mark to approve the claims as presented. Any further discussion? Those in favor of the motion indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. That motion carried unanimously. Continuing on to public hearings. Item 10.1 is consideration to approve the 20th annual Fulton Street Bash street closure. Who's presenting that tonight?
So Tracy Davis is here too, if anybody has any questions. Bruce and Tracy have put this event on. This is their 20th year. They do a car show at off of their house, I guess, or in their alleyway. So minimal to the city. We do close off part of the street so they can show some cars. They get some garbages. It's during the rally. I believe it's on August 2nd from 2 to 10. They do a barbecue. It's a great time. I've been there. So, any questions?
19 successful years so far, I think, yeah.
20th is going to be a big one, I'm sure.
I bet it'll be big, yeah.
It
Anybody
grows
have
and
any
grows every year.
Any questions about the 20th annual Fulton Street Bash?
Just disappointed Bruce isn't here again this year, and with that, I motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, we've got a first for approval from Tony, a second from Nick. Those in favor of approving that motion indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. All right, that motion approved unanimously. 20 years coming. Item 10.2 is consideration to approve an SEL for Gas Monkey Sturgis for live music and food for the 2025 Trans Am Takeover. We just talked about that a minute ago. The 11th and 12th of July. Anything to add to the report?
I don't think so. Margaret is here for Gas Monkey. It sounds like they want to serve beer Friday night and all day Saturday. Was that
Yes, that's
correct?
correct.
Yep. And they haven't done one yet, so we might as well get them started. Yeah, they plan to use the cups, strictly malt beverage stuff. I think we decided to use the same boundaries as Music on Main, so it'd just be the general non-rally area downtown.
So Sherman Street to Lozelle Street,
Yep, and 4th to,
4th to Junction,
it goes farther than Junction. Is it Middle?
Middle
Middle
Street.
Street, yeah.
Anybody have any questions?
Just more information. Margaret flew in today for this meeting, so.
Well, I try to come up every few weeks anyway.
Travels with our weather conditions this morning. Hearing no additional questions or discussion, is someone willing to motion this item?
I'd move to approve.
Second.
First by Nick, second by Mark, to approve the SEL for Gas Monkey for the Trans Am takeover. Those in favor of the motion indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. Carried unanimously. 10-3, consideration to approve use of city property by Foothills Community Church for evangelism during a rally event from July 31st until August 9th.
This is going to be another new event coming up, gentlemen. They would like to set up at the welcome sign just out by Anna Street. I will let you guys kind of explain.
Sure. I'm Jeff Nykerk, pastor of Foothills Community Church, and this is Steve Alsteel, one of our members. We just like to welcome our guests into Sturgis and have some water there for them, offer to take their picture on their device, and answer any questions they might have, and share an evangelism tract with them if they want to receive it. And be out of the way, not blocking the right of way, not being in the space where they're trying to take pictures other than to offer to take their photo.
Help control the traffic there. Sometimes those can be busy.
I guess, yeah. Yeah, we don't want to contribute to any traffic backup, but I think it's already.
If I may. Right behind the sign, there's a cement area, so it's out of any way of any foot traffic or anything like that. The bikes can come up and park on that side over there, and they have that whole area. There's no way we would like, one of the reasons why we'd like to set up there is just have like a covering, not a structure or anything, but it's gonna get hot, as you know. So we just like to have something we could be underneath. And then the water, as far as that is our church going to donate water. It's not asking for any money, it's not any of those things, it's just providing cold water for them. Again, we will make sure everything is cleaned up, taken care of, and out of there. We're talking about maybe a few hours before noon and a few hours after noon, and then we're out of there. But we want to do it throughout the rally.
Just question, just to make sure that we understand. I mean, you're talking about like a pop-up tent behind the.
Like an awning, like a small awning that would fit there. Nothing. I mean, something we can pop up and tear down. Of course, weather permitting, obviously, we'll probably get hail.
Yeah. Don't jinx us now.
Last year we didn't.
Well, that was last year. Again, just for understanding, is the tent branded at all, or any printing on it?
No, just going to be just a regular awning that you'd have like at a picnic or something like that.
You know, in the front of that sign where they take a lot of the pictures, kind of facing north. So you may want to move the tent off to the side so it doesn't get.
Behind the sign.
Yeah, but they might be able to see that also, based on
We'll
where.
make sure it's out of
Yeah,
the
we
shot.
thought about that as well. Yeah, we don't want to make any, because we want that sign to be there for them to take that picture, so.
What makes that a difficult location is 'cause a lot of times they like to take that pictures in front of the sign, facing towards the hills, looking north, which is right on the near the street. So if you have anything behind the sign, that's where that picture. They usually don't take pictures facing to the south. So just FYI.
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
Anybody have any additional questions?
I would just bring up the safety factor of holding up people there that are trying to come in, just making sure that you're moving them along and not spending too much time.
Yeah, thank you. We wouldn't be doing that. In fact, we're going to be there to say, hey, how's it going? If they're taking pictures, can we take a picture of your group for you? That kind of thing. It's going to be really up to them and their movement. We're not going to construct or congest or anything. That's not our goal at all.
I didn't think that was your plan. I just want to stress the safety factor of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that.
No selfies there this year, maybe. All right, is someone willing to motion this, this item?
I'd make that motion.
I'll second it.
All right, we've got a first by Jim, a second by Mark to approve Foothills Community Church to use city property during the rally. Item 10.3. All those in favor of that motion indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. All right, that's carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 10.4. Consideration to approve a retail on-off sale malt beverage and South Dakota farm wine license for Tia Hartwell Freedom LLC at 901 East Main Street.
Mayor and council.
Hi, Tia. Yeah, sit down and tell us what you've got.
Well, some of you might know that I was involved with an investor on the property of 901 East Main Street.
Sorry, can I have you scoot right up to the mic?
Okay. That was back in 2022. We did have a malt beverage license then, me and my investor. Unfortunately, we decided to go our own way. Not any bad differences, it's just he didn't have enough time to put into building a building and all the necessities that we needed. So we decided to go our own way. Me and my husband, Jay, we purchased the property from my investor maybe a month ago. So we're back again to try to do it on our own without an investor. And that's basically what we're asking for.
So if I may, like Tia, you and I met Thursday. I think it might be helpful for you to talk about what you're planning to do with the property.
Pass those out, babe. So we're wanting to, this year, once you see the picture, you'll understand. We're wanting to do containers on the property. The picture you'll be looking at is
Give one to them over there. I'll put it on the screen here.
the plan that we want to get to. This year, we'll only be able to have the 3 bottom buildings put up, only because, 1, financial, and 2, there's, what do you call it? The, what did you call it? The floodplain. So that's gonna take a little longer to go through the floodplain and, okay. The floodplain and get the special permitting and everything and construction and all of that. That's gonna take a while. Unfortunately, we're out of time, and it's also gonna take a lot of money. And with the investor being gone, we're kind of doing it all on our own, so we're kind of hoping to get the license this year, make some money, and if given, you know, if we could ask for 12 months to have it up to this point of the building.
So you're referencing the city ordinance that requires a 1,200 square foot,
I think it's 1,700.
1,700, is that the?
Oh, it would be over that, far over that.
1,700 square foot building to have the beer license.
Yes. We're asking for the beer license now so we can make some money to get to that.
In the past, what did you have there at that location? Just a tent?
We had, some vendors, and we had, beer tubs. And I will like to say that I think we were one of the top sellers on the beer cup, on the Rally Cups. I think we made the city $5,000 on the sales of those cups. So we didn't have any offenses against our license then. There was no problem with that. And there really wasn't a problem with the old owner. It was just, he wanted to be there the whole time to be able to deal with the build, and because he was busy with other things, it's not something he could do. So,
So this year, you're just talking about the bottom half, getting that part
correct.
done
So
for this
we'll
year.
start with the bottom half, and by next year, we'll have the whole top completed. Is the plan.
And last year, there was what there? Just
Nothing.
Nothing, just bare ground.
Yep. Just, yeah, absolutely nothing.
You intend on having the bottom portion of this constructed this year?
Yes. Yeah, so it will be 3 containers. It will be 2 okay, if you picture, here's Main Street, and it will have 2 units, 40-foot units going this way, and then a 20-foot unit here, just like the U shape that you're seeing in the picture.
So when it's done,
Uh-huh.
it's not a building, it's containers?
Well, it's made out of containers, but it will have bathrooms and all the other requirements that it needs. It's just, it's easier to build with these, and then you just shut them down, and you can open them and shut them as needed. We're talking about in the summers, we would like to do some, also movie nights. We're looking at farmers markets to be able to do stuff like that with the containers. Maybe some craft shows. We're not talking about car shows. I
Is
think
this in the
that's
bid
handled.
district?
Is it in the?
One thing I would, I guess for clarity, and what we talked about is my understanding is this year during the rally, these would strictly be temporary. Then we would see a set of plans, we would review it. Everything has to meet code as far as them being on foundations and the electrical and the plumbing, but that would be forthcoming. So this year during the rally, the containers would be there and they would be temporary in nature, and then they may have to be removed and the foundations and all that stuff put in, the plumbing, and that would happen within the 1 year.
So then they would have to meet the ordinances and the building codes and all of that stuff, and the bid. There's some other regulations in that bid district too, correct?
And we've already been talking to somebody about that to be able to figure out how because the property is not level. So we're already in the talks with somebody that can come in and level it and get it to where it needs to be. We've already had it, the utilities and everything figured out, where the electrical is, where the plumbing is, all this stuff. So we are in the process of everything. It's just a time.
What kind of a guarantee do we have that the Tuesday after rally, you're not gone, we got these containers, and nothing happens in the next 12 months?
Okay, that's a good question. One, we are local. We're not from out of state. We live here. Unfortunately, the investor went away, but the interest did not. And this is something that I've been wanting to work on for a couple years now. Unfortunately, finances, because of my investor, it was unable. That's also why we're asking for 12 months. Within 12 months, if it's not to par, then we no longer have a license.
Well, let me ask you this.
Okay?
Are you willing to put up a bond to say that you're going to go forward with this? And if you don't, you forfeit the bond?
Sure. Absolutely.
I don't know how that works on contract or any of that, but I guess I want a lot more than your word. Sorry, but I want a lot more than your word
And
before
I
I'm willing to
understand
approve that.
And I I ask that, you know, I understand that things have happened in the past with other businesses and the promises. And just like I don't want to judge you guys off of past council, I would ask that you don't judge me and look at me as a separate entity and a new owner of this property, starting out all over again.
Eric, would you have any weigh in on the question that Mark asked there about asking for a bond for a beer license? I know you're not prepared.
I'm not prepared. I have a general familiarity with the city's alcohol code and with the state laws that that's based on. I can't imagine that that's not a possibility, but I would need to do a little research and examination. I couldn't do it in time for tonight.
I guess I would sure like to see this thing just stopped right here, if that's the word, until I see something in a contract that says it's bonded. Other than that, I'm sorry, but I probably can't vote for it unless there's some type of bond or true guarantee that we're not gonna have just some containers or an empty lot after the rally all winter.
We have purchased the lot.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
that in itself is
we've
showing
been
we're serious.
right. But the citizens of Sturgis have looked at that empty lot for how many years, sitting there, and what's not to say that you take your beer license, even if you live here, and oh, I don't have the money, and we don't go anywhere with it, and then next year you're back promising this again.
Well, I mean, believe me, I understand what you're saying, but I also don't want to be judged off past stuff. I wasn't the owner of that last property, sir.
Right, but that's all I have to go off of.
Right.
So I don't know where that leaves us.
Well, I'm a new business owner trying to build a business here.
Would it be possible to table this? You said you would do a bond?
If that's
And
what
that
we
would
need to
satisfy,
do.
if that would satisfy both sides,
I
could it
mean,
be tabled
as
till?
long as it's not a $100,000 bond or something.
Right, we're kind of organic here, you know, we're pursuing our dreams. We need the beer and the wine license to kind of make the revenues to put back in the property. And that's exactly what we're gonna do. We're not gonna take this money and run out of state with it or do anything like that. The goal is to build, something that we can get off the ground for Raleigh this year and then take that revenue towards the permit and the permanent structure. And once that gets approved and on its way, we're totally open to the city on how we can continue to contribute to the revenues of that in the way the city wants as well.
I don't think in a bond, and Kevin can probably talk to it more, you don't have to put up the 100,000, but you'd have to purchase a bond. It's a percentage, but that's beyond my deal. But I would probably insist on a $100,000 bond. Well, look what your building's gonna cost you. And so if we're not gonna have a decent bond on that, I mean, what good's a $5,000 or $10,000 bond?
Well, if we need that money to kind of,
Continue building.
Right.
I mean, you're asking for 100,000 estimated.
I think you talk to people, I don't think you have to put up the 100 unless you don't come through, and then you will. But that's beyond my scope of where I'm
Right,
at.
I mean,
I think, from my deal, I think it should be a $100,000 bond. That's my thoughts.
Anybody else from council have any comments on this?
I guess I'm just curious because you and I, fortunately, we had the opportunity to meet last week, so I've heard a lot of this before and some more, which I know getting up here and talking in front of everybody is very nerve-wracking. Curious, would you ask because I consider, just after listening to you tonight and then talking with you last week, I can see and consider you a separate entity than what happened before, and there's two totally separate cases.
It's not fair to be judged off
Sure.
of that.
Would, just out of curiosity, not to put you on the spot or anything, would you ask the same question of somebody else if they came in here and they were asking for this?
Any new deal like we're talking about there, if they promise us a building, I think the city needs to maybe step up and say, we want a guarantee on this stuff. If we don't ask for a bond and this goes through and you don't follow through, what's to keep every empty lot in town from returning into a beer license for the rally? Because we've set a precedence that we gave you one with your word and you didn't follow through.
You gave Jamie one, sir, not me.
I might be. I can't help that. But you were part of that.
Well, it was part of the old city
Well,
council.
but you were still part of it. I'm sorry. And I worry about, we set a precedence here. Maybe it's said it before, but I think there needs to be a cost or a commitment from the other side rather than the city just always saying, oh yeah, we're going to take your word for it. And man, we seem like we get burnt quite often. So I'm sorry, but I'm kind of.
I'm sorry. I think the only thing that was holding us back was my investor. Otherwise, it would have went forward. We have bought or purchased the property from him, so we don't have to be held back by him. We can make our own decisions. We don't have to wait for him to, okay, we want to build this, we want to build that. It's just me and him.
Well, I understand that, but we're still got the same problem. We're still laying a license out there and taking your word that this is going to go forward. And I will not be very happy if next year at this time you're back, there's no building.
I agree with
And
you
that's,
on that.
and that's where it puts us.
I agree
or
with
me
you on
anyway.
that. But I also, this is a vision I've seen for a long time. I mean, I've been in this circuit for 25 years. I was working at One Eye Jacks for 20 of those years. And we all know, or maybe we can agree or not agree, but that end needs something. It needs something to draw into. I mean, everything's up here, nothing's down that way.
Well, it sounds like we
Somebody
have-
else can weigh in. I've
Are
probably
you
said
trying
enough.
to make this, when it's done? Is this just a rally thing? Is it a summer thing? Is it
No.
a year round? I mean, do you have any
I'm
idea?
not gonna lie to you and say it's gonna be year-round,
No.
because that's ridiculous. In the winter months, there's not enough people to keep the doors open. And that would just be taking from the venues that are open all year round.
So not year round, is it just then rally or
No,
summer or?
Spring, summer, fall. You know, we're talking about doing the farmer's market and things like that. I'm not sure if there's any other farmer markets, or if people wanna use it, it's there. But it's definitely, I definitely don't want it just for rally. I mean, that's a big investment for 2 weeks out of the year.
I do think, based on, we lost the, not a farmer's market, but the one downtown that we had on Main Street. The hometown market, which was a great idea, but the building didn't continue. We can't, but something like that would be wonderful.
The way the building, the bottom layer is set up, it's like a courtyard, so we can do farmers markets.
And there were quite a few vendors there, but not enough to where they could keep that going by themselves.
Right.
Without the city participation. So in that regard, that would be a nice addition if this could come to fruition.
I guess I've seen a lot of these in the South, South Carolina. They're really a neat atmosphere to, we went there with the grandkids. I mean, different places had ice cream to tacos to, it was a neat atmosphere. And if we could be guaranteed something like that, that families could go and sit and.
We're picturing it, like, if you see the courtyard on the back one, we've been talking about maybe doing, movie night, where you drop a big screen down and people can watch movies. I know there's no movie theater here, and that's something that's, we can do for the community and give back. Maybe we don't need to serve alcohol at it. We could serve popcorn and soda. For things like that. I was even thinking maybe yoga for the ladies, Obviously, it will be paved by then. We've already got the estimates for the paving, and we decided not to go with concrete because it's too expensive. but paving, and so it won't be just a dirt
Yeah, we're gonna. improve
lot.
a lot. It's gonna be, by the time we get to the permanent structure, we're open, for, not just a rally beer garden, but we still are kind of an organic startup, and the beer and wine license is gonna kick us off.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, I mean, I have a granddaughter in college, and that's costing my daughter $20,000 extra on top of her scholarships. And this has always been a dream to have my own income, not his, so I can, help my own family as well.
Right, we're getting the storage units, they're not just these storage containers that have Chinese names on them.
No, they're all
concession style.
They're all brand new too.
So we can kind of move them, and once we get to the next phase of the permanent structure in the building as part of the permit, we can actually move those and permanently maybe mount them towards the building.
They'll be done with footings.
It's the plan.
Well, once they become permanent, they have footings that go underground to the frost zones and stuff to make them permanent.
Have to meet all the building codes.
Yes, and I've talked to Rick about that stuff as well.
Totally, maybe not different subject, but it's against our ordinance to have a storage container for a shed in a yard in residential, right? I think there was a deal that went through a couple of years ago, and then now we think we're gonna allow them on Main Street?
They're all over the place.
Well, I don't think they're actually supposed to be. They maybe are, but I thought they were kind of against the.
As long as they're not temporary in nature and they would be they would be turned into a permanent structure. I mean, I think that's where it jumps into a different category.
Yeah, the only thing that actually I believe makes them not temporary is the footings.
There's some other constructions.
Yeah, and we've talked about that. We're,
At the end of the day, you gotta have a certificate of occupancy.
yes. And I don't mind doing the deposit or whatever you, yeah. My concern only would be if we start building and we're this close, you see that we're in process, and then maybe we need an extra month or something. I would like that to be something where we're not locked in. It has to be exactly 12 months to the day. I want to be able to, if we still have something to do, that we're allowed that extra time. But I think as you see us going, you'll see the progress that we're making as well. And all of the containers are local too. They're all brand new. They're all the same color. They're not going to look tacky. This is a new trend actually with the containers. I mean, they're doing a lot of work with containers, not just houses, but buildings. And I thought it was something different. All the buildings here are kind of, the same concept. I thought this would be something different.
We're certainly seeing that construction method more and more. I think there's a guy is a cappy over in Spearfish. That's I think what he builds exclusively with residents and buildings. Maybe it's a coming thing. Try and make a joke out of this with tariffs. Maybe there'll be extra containers to use.
Oh no.
Too soon?
Tia, after talking with you last week and then listening to you today and understanding your plan, and I consider you to be a separate entity from those that came before you.
Thank you.
I'm an entrepreneur myself too, so I can understand where you're coming from and all the hardships and everything that you have coming before you as well. Understanding what your plan is and what your goal is, and the fact that you live here, you're actually in my ward, and you want to give back to this community. I know that end needs something and that lot needs something. I would motion to approve your request for the malt beverage license.
All right, we've got a first for approval of the malt beverage license. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We got a first by Ruth, a second by Jim to approve the malt beverage license without any additional restrictions. Is there any further discussion?
I'm just gonna say real quick. Just real quick, I mean, I'm struggling with it a little bit, because I think everybody deserves a chance.
Thank you.
But, as Mark said, we have a long history in town here of broken promises.
That's not how I do business.
So I struggle with it a little bit. I go back and forth with it. Ultimately, I think, everybody deserves a chance. And I would probably support this, making it very clear that if it's an empty lot next year, I won't be on board.
I respect that.
I agree.
And I'll admit, I was reluctant this evening when I first came here on this, and I wasn't gonna vote no. And like Jesse said, you're new, on your own type deal, and I've been a business owner in Sturgis myself, so I've changed I will be voting on this, yes, but I am very reluctant, and I'm with Jesse and Mark on this, that I hope next year we have a beautiful thing and rocking and ready for next
we
summer.
hope so too, so we're.
So, yeah, that's just my opinion and
Thank
my
you.
vote, so.
Rick, did you have a comment?
Can I just, to make sure that it's on the record? So my understanding is we're okay with the temporary structures, we're okay with temporary power, there'll have to be temporary water, that you're gonna have to gray water containment, we'll come up with the square footage of the usable, and it's 3 feet per person, that's gonna dictate the occupancy. You'll have to have that many portable units brought in. We're gonna have garbage and water services, I mean, you're gonna pay those. There's also a special sanitation fee that will get assessed to that property because of the rally. All those things are in play, correct? Okay.
Correct. Agreement? I'm gonna go ahead and call for the vote, but I'm gonna roll call it just because I'm not sure how it's gonna come out, so it'll be easier to total. I'm gonna start over with Tony.
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
Mark?
No.
Ruth?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Terry? Yes. Jim?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Prove me wrong.
I plan on it.
Especially when we want our liquor license, so.
Thank you, that was
Thank
approved
you.
7-1, thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Bless you guys.
What did I hear you say about a liquor license, though?
No. We already know.
Yeah, we were talking about with
Okay.
some of the community, well, we'll go in. Thank you, guys.
Mark, 1 year. Okay. I'm gonna come back for you. Are you gonna shake my hand and say?
I was say sorry. I should have trusted you.
Okay,
Prove me wrong, please.
I will.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Continuing on, reports. Item 11.1 is consideration to allow the Sturgis Soccer Association to close a portion of the Sturgis soccer fields from June 1st through August 11th for field maintenance.
Evening, Mayor, members of the council. Up for consideration tonight is that request from the Sturgis Soccer Complex. Basically, they would like to close the west half of the soccer fields, pretty much from the new building that they built to the west down to the concession stands starting the first week of June and having it reopened by the middle of August. That does conform with, we've checked with the school district, that doesn't have any, pose any conflicts with them. Basically, this is a renovation project to try and get the fields a little more level. We're gonna be bringing in several hundred tons of dirt and sand mixed and level out some low spots, reseed that. Some of the requests that came forward was that they requested the use of some orange snow fence from the city. We don't have that, so they're going to make the accommodations to get that in order to be able to close that area off. They'll put a snow fence around that portion of the soccer fields to keep people out. they wanted the city to mow or scalp the fields, we can mow it. We talked to Rochelle and told her, we're probably 2.5 inches is about as low as we can mow it. We don't have a scalper. And then watering the newly seeded areas, that particular, the soccer field was built in a manner where it's got 5 zones, so to speak, five lines that run from the west to the east. And then on the perimeter, it has a perimeter feed line, 2.5 and a 4-inch line that feeds it from both ends. So it's very difficult to isolate. I mean, water comes from both sides. We need to be able to do that to get enough water capacity to run those sprinklers and to run as one zone from all the way from the west to the east. And so what they have proposed is to install, there's a different type of sprinkler head, one that has a top on it that you put the little key in and you're able to turn it on and off. So for the ones that where they're watering 3 or 4 times a day, depending on the weather, the other half every morning, they're going to have to go out there and turn those 30 sprinklers off, and then at night turn them back on, so that when our system is ready to water for the night, and we'll still, the city, when I say we, the city, the parks, will still maintain that east end of the soccer field. So they'll have to dig up those 30 sprinkler heads, and actually I think we talked about today doing all of them, because then next year if we flip-flop it, that work would already be done and you wouldn't be redigging up what you just fixed the year before. So I think that sounds like a pretty solid plan. They have agreed that they're going to take that on their own, because that's a pretty heavy lift to turn those sprinklers on and off twice a day. That's going to be on them. And then the city, they asked if we could haul the sand from the Cost pit, which I think we can. I mean, that's the pit out on the Whitewood Service Road, so I don't see any issue with that. So overall, I think we've, for the most part, got most of this plan worked out. I think there might be some final details to hit on once we get going, but Aaron and I met with Rochelle today and kind of went over the plan, so.
And I also met with the superintendent and had a conversation with the athletic director just to get their take on, the field not being available, at least through the summer, maybe into middle of August. And, both of them said no problems with that. They have their practice fields out at the high school. The only thing they were wanting is to have it available by 15 August. But it looks like that one field, the east side, that's not going to be impacted would probably be available for that. Their plan is to have the west end available too. But depending on how the grass grows and what kind of condition it is might dictate if that west side's going to be available. There was some concerns from some coaches and whatnot. That's why I went back to talk to the superintendent and athletic directors just to make sure we had a consistent message from the school districts on if there was any concerns with this project. And again, there was no concerns.
So good to go from the city, good to go from the school district, and a lot of support from the soccer association.
A ton of support from the Soccer Association. I guess I can give a little bit of background. I think many of you know we've been on the track to either fix the field, or at one point we were thinking of turfing the field on that east end because of the stability issues on it. Finding out that the school is going to turf Woodle, I found it, not just me, but our board found it redundant and a little excessive to have 2 turf fields in a town our size. So instead of putting all of our funds into trying to turf half of the field, we now want to do what's right and make it a safe playing field. I don't know if you guys have spent time down there or walked it. I will take any of you down anytime to show you the divots, the holes, sprinkler heads that are mounting. I mean, we just had one break beginning of the week and had to have it fixed before the tournament. So really, we just want to make it so it's a safe, even playing field for all of the kids. And this is, I think, a better use of our time and money doing it this way.
Any further questions?
I was just going to ask you, it looked like it was a pretty successful weekend.
Oh, it actually was, and I'll just be honest. So we held it graduation weekend, which is much later than we expected due to Easter. That fell in April. Our numbers were down a bit. We hosted 80 teams. That's approximately 850 kids played soccer in Sturgis this weekend. We're going back to the second to last weekend in April next year and hope to get us back up to that 120 teams maybe.
How did the paid parking thing go?
Great. So we sold 107 passes. So right at that, at $25 a piece for the weekend. So we about $2,500. And as you went by, you would see there was empty spots. The reason there were empty spots, and I'll take full responsibility. The first year we did this, I only allowed, I think, 25, 30 passes to be sold, and we continue to increase because I am concerned about safety. That is my first and foremost concern. I don't care about making money. I want my kids to be safe playing. So now that we see there's still extra room after that 107, we'll probably bump that up to maybe 115, 120. But as you drove by, you'll see that there was still plenty of parking along the park, all into the city park on the other side. Whittle was up. So we were pretty full still.
Traffic flow looked, I mean, from what I seen, I went down there a couple days. It looked like everything was working great with that light on. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have any issues. This was the first year that the DOT did allow us to permit to activate that signal. And for those of you on the council or in YouTube land that are listening, the city does not control that signal. Of course, Lozelle is a state highway, and so those signals belong to the DOT. We have to fill out a permit when we activate them during the rally as a temporary traffic measure. And so we have quarterly meetings with the DOT, and we've voiced this for several meetings now that we have a safety issue there with people parking on the south side of Lozelle and then bolting across that, to try and get over to the north. Not only for the soccer tournament, but look at when we have Jeff Schmidt, some of the larger track meets. Again, it was graduation weekend, so we had a lot going on. They did permit us to turn that on. Actually, Wednesday we'll have to rebag it, turn it back off. But certainly do appreciate and thank the DOT for allowing us, number one, to try it and see if it helped. Because there is actually, if people would use it, there's a pedestrian crossing up there, and just that little bit of break in the traffic, I think, does allow for safer pedestrian movement to get across that. When we have those big events, for sure, we want to fill and use all of the available parking that we have. So that was a good thing, good test run this year.
I want to say hats off to the Soccer Association because I think it was 2006. Mark, were you on the council when we approved the lights down there? Yeah, it's been fun to watch it grow, and and see it be a sport in the high school now, and so it's been real fun to watch it. You guys are doing an awesome job.
It's the board behind me and before me that got it to where it is, and we just keep trying to do, we just gave Art and Linda Dackness the Sturgis Soccer Hall of Fame last week at our annual banquet award, and hearing the stories from them, all we hope to do is keep their passion and dream alive because they were monumental to getting the soccer fields down where they're at. And so just keeping the kids in the game. It's a great game, and it's relatively inexpensive to participate in, and that's the best perk about it. So
great job.
Well, thank you.
All right, well, at this point, is there a motion for this?
I'll motion to approve.
Second.
Got a first by Ruth, a second by Mark to approve the Soccer Association plan to rehab the soccer field. All those in favor of the motion indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried unanimously.
Can I just add on, and I told Rick and Aaron this, but I think you guys should know, our Parks Department and Cody King this last week, with the weather we had and the tournament coming up, they killed it. They did such an amazing job, and I just think you guys need to know that Cody King and his Parks Department killed it for us this weekend. So kudos to them, and thank you.
Thank you, Rochelle. Continuing on, item 11.2 is consideration to approve Resolution 2025-25, a resolution establishing a city ordinance advisory committee. This is an item that I worked with the team to bring forward. The idea is that we have a ordinance committee that helps establish and provide insight and guidance to the rest of the council as we begin our ordinance uplift that's going to take approximately the next year. And the idea is that the first ordinance they work on is Title VII, our governance document. So if we can get through the Title VII document, then that would hopefully establish them more permanently, but the resolution gives us traction for right now. Point of this group is that it involves public involvement. There's two members of the public that will open up to be part of this, and this is envisioned to be more of a pyramid, I guess, if you will, that the primary group is at the top, and they operate heavily with subcommittees. So in other words, if they're getting into something that involves more of the downtown businesses, a subcommittee might work on that. If it's more heavily involved, maybe our sports or our residents or whatnot, we can operate with subcommittees to try and strengthen those numbers and involve other members of the community in that. Does it make sense? Somebody be willing to make a motion on the resolution 2025?
I would make that motion.
Jim, you got beat out by Mark there.
I will second.
You'll
gladly
second
to
Mark's.
him then.
We've got a first by Mark, a second by Jim to approve resolution 2025 establishing a city ordinance advisory committee. Is there any further discussion? Those in favor of the motion indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. Thank you. That leads us to 11.3, our 2025-2026 City Council Committee and Liaison appointments. I want to make sure that it's recognized that the council president and vice president, Tony Dargitz and Alex Usera, spent significant time pulling this together. I asked them to work through these primarily because these appointments are made by the mayor, but with consideration and consent by the city council. So it seemed like it was prudent to involve them from the beginning, and I think they did a fine job. It looks like, you worked hard to try and make sure that we spread people out, gave new opportunities, because the strength of our team is providing benefits to other people and trying to make sure that on some of these pieces that we've got a member from each ward.
I also like to give kudos to the rest of the council for input on where they would want to be seated. That also helped us out a lot too, so thank you guys.
Is there any discussion, or would someone like to read this out loud, or are we good to go with this?
I think we're good to go with this.
Okay.
So with that, I would motion to approve it.
Second.
We got a first by Tony, a second by Alex to approve the 2025-2026 City Council Committee and Liaison appointments. Those in favor of the motion indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. All right, well, we've got a team for the next year.
I assume they take effect pretty much immediately?
We need to start the process of opening to fill those public slots. And, I think there's members of council that are listed on that. I think they could start having some of the discussions on that, and we can get going. You guys agree with that?
Yes.
Item 12 is executive session. Mr. Davis, do we have a need for executive session?
Mayor, I am going to ask the council if it'd be willing to adjourn into executive session to consult with legal counsel about contractual matters pursuant to SDCL 1-25-3, subsection 3. And if someone would make that motion, I think that will establish the need of what we need to establish pursuant to our discussion at the last meeting.
Motion to go in executive session.
For the reasons stated?
Yes. All the fancy stuff you said. All the numbers.
That motion was made by Alex. I'm sorry, I didn't hear who made the second. Terry made the second. Point of clarity, no action afterwards.
No action.
Those in favor of going into executive session indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. All right, we will adjourn to executive working. Are we good? No.
Nope.
How it happened earlier.
I thought mine, yeah, mic's working.
Back on now. All right, we're back from executive session. I'd entertain a motion to return from executive session.
I'll make a motion.
That's 4 of you talking. Who do we have here for a first on that?
Mark
Mark?
and Jim.
And Jim? All right, first by Mark, second by Jim to return from executive session. Those in favor of the motion indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
First by Tony, second by Terry to adjourn. Those in favor indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
We're adjourned. Thank you.